the line of the text, it's saying to generate this magical thing called bodhicitta, where you have complete compassion and it can cure everything and reach you and pitch you into a state of enlightenment. You need to purify any obstructions, which we covered. You need to generate some goodness, some deep virtue, which we just covered now, right? And in that sequence, you would then commit yourself. The third step is you would then commit yourself to thinking and acting like a bodhisattva. You would do pretend bodhisattva activity. You would try and generate the wish in what we would call a ceremony. So you follow? So if you're a practitioner of this, if you've learned this detail, if you're some person in the world that's encountered these teachings, you would say, oh, I've got to do a whole bunch of practices for a while to remove any obstruction from feeling this deep kind of compassion. So you do a bunch of those practices for a while. Then your lens is clear and you start generating some sense of, if I do this, I could feel that way. You try and grow your compassion, you ask for teachings, and you're doing these activities. And then you would go and do a ceremony, and there used to be two ceremonies. One is you try and you, in front of a teacher, a master, or whatever it is, you would then swear you're ready and right. You'd go, in this ceremony, you go, I wish I could get that wish for enlightenment. I wish I could get the wish. Yeah? You're making a ceremony to try and get that wish. Yeah? So you're fully committed to this idea that the world can be free from suffering. Specifically, your world can be removed from, you can remove suffering from your world. And so you do a ceremony. Then the second ceremony would be the same kind of commitment, but in the form of actions where you take bodhisattva vows. And usually there's a year between them. Nowadays they just do the ceremony together. They don't even do the full-fledged ceremony nowadays, they just do a short ceremony. We're not doing the ceremony. I'm just teaching you the text. But just understand that first you purify, then you generate the courses, then you do the ceremony where you say, I'm committed to this commitment. You get this? Yeah? And hopefully they say if magic happens in that instant, you might be able to generate enough virtue, enough of a seed to truly get the wish, which is so rare to get an uncontrived sensation that it is possible to reach a state of enlightenment, of awakeness in this universe, and understand how to come to peace and get other beings to that place. It is possible, but it's rare. Like the football discussion we just had. So then, the step after the ceremony, so you followed, right? Clean obstacle, generate courses, do the ceremony, which we're not doing. The step after is in this verse that comes in this text called the Bodhisattva Charivatara, called Gawa Gompa. It's the first thing you do after the ceremony. You do it after the ceremony is finished. You do this thing called Gawa Gompa, which is taking joy. And Dharmakirti, Atisha, Nagarjuna would say this is so vital and so important, they make a deal about it. So in this text, it's divided in two sections, being happy about the stuff for yourself and being happy about this activity for the sake of others. And I'll just, the first part, being part for yourself, is called Sengtupa, which means uplift your heart. And it's this kind of sense of, oh my goodness, I just did something extraordinary. I had a conception, I had an idea, I had a movement in my heart that for a millisecond or for a section of time, I could truly think that it was possible to get everybody that's sad, everybody that's depressed, everybody that's lonely, everybody that's hungry, freed from their condition. I imagined a universe truly, because I understand things are caused, that those things don't have to be anymore. And I wished that I could figure that out. I truly got that way. And so you go, oh my God, I just had that. And so you build joy around that, because they say it creates the ground for the actual bodhicitta to generate. It creates the fertile ground, getting that Sengtupa. And that is in this verse that comes up, and there's a couple of translations, but this is a nice translation, I guess you might call. So I'll just read you the verse to get you the idea, so we can go through the next verse. There's 3 verses I'll read from you. And so after you do the ceremony, you're trying to generate this taking joy, right? And this first one is joy about yourself, what you've just done that's awesome, to get your elevated, hyped up karma going so it gets bigger and stronger quickly, because it was such an awesome thing. And it says, from this moment on, my life has some meaning. I have truly achieved a human rebirth. I've been born again. It sounds weird from a Christian point of view. Today I've been born into the family of the Buddhas. Now I have become a child of the Buddhas. So in part of the ceremony you get to read out this text. Sometimes His Holiness does the whole Bodhisattva initiation with just that verse from the Bodhisattva Charvatara, because it gets you to the point of joy. It assumes that, okay, from this moment on you've got the Bodhisattva vows. Do you promise to keep them? From this moment on, my life has some meaning. And what the implication here is that out of all the possible things you could do with a human life, buy nice football jerseys, get new shoes, get clothes, get food, get fat, get skinny, get blah, 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 they're all temporary, they're all gone. The true meaning here is to get out of suffering, get people happy, get people truly happy, regardless of the hair long, short, fat, skinny. Happy is available and possible. If you can invest your life in doing that, you truly have some meaning. So you get that, And then what's this second line? It tripped me up the first time. Now I have truly achieved a human rebirth. I'm like, duh, I'm human already. What's that? Right? But it means I'm worthy of being called a human, a real human. Because a real human cares for other beings. And this is what the reborn thing is. You know, even though I came here blindly consuming and consuming for selfish reasons, I just got worked up a little. Oh, now I'm a real human. I can take care of others. I've been born again. So today I've been born into the family of the Buddhas. They say that enlightened beings, beings that have evolved their consciousness beyond our limitations, can sense and hear when intentions like that are born in the world, and so they consider you their child. Now become a child of the Buddha, and the word child here in Tibetan refers to an elevated child, like a prince or a princess, a little prince or princess. So in that sense, you get this joy and this uplifting feeling that you just realize that you can possibly dedicate your life, all parts of your life, to figuring it out for the sake of all the beings around you. So that's the ceremony. You try and generate that state of mind. The next verse is this kind of promises, if that's true, and I'm so happy that I've got that capacity and truly generate joy about how good that is, you go, no matter what, I will undertake only the actions that will befit someone like me. So from now on, I'll get my serious on, and I'll stop doing some stupid things, and I'll really get working on it. So the verse goes, now, no matter what, I will undertake only those actions which are fitting for those who belong to the family, and I will assure that this holy and flawless family is never defiled. Meaning, I won't go back to my stupid, selfish, craving behaviors because I've just made a commitment. I'll break that cycle. Yeah, so that says, okay, so I'm happy, and with that happiness, I'm getting my active on, and I'll promise to do the right thing. And then after that, Master Shantideva then compares finding that sensation, finding the rarity of that emotion so impossible that he says it's like a beggar. And if you've been to India, you know what beggars they're talking about, right? If you've seen beggars in India, they're not like the people on the street. They're like, give me $1 so I can smoke some weed, dude. They're like real beggars, right? That without arms or in piles of garbage. And he's saying it's like a beggar by chance on a mountain of garbage finding a precious jewel like a diamond or something like that. It's so impossible to actually generate this kind of feeling, that it's that kind of unbelievable, crazy coincidence or bizarre ripening that you would find a jewel in a garbage heap. To find that selfless state of mind for a millisecond in a world that is forever consuming for me, is compared by Master Shantideva like finding a jewel in a garbage heap. And rightly so. Then, so that concludes the part where you're happy for yourself. You're like, oh my God, I just found this awesome jewel. I'm so happy. You got that? Be happy. And the next part is, what are you going to do with that thing that made you happy for others? That's the point, right? So what would you do for others? And so getting happy, getting excited, planning all your awesomeness around, if you generate this capacity, bodhicitta, how are you able to help others? And this was, for me, difficult the first time I heard this, because I didn't get it the way I got it, I say maybe 10 years later. It took me 10 years to get in a heartfelt way what I'm just about to cover with you guys. When I first started studying Eastern philosophy of Buddhism, sure, there were all these consequences that drew me into it that seemed fantastical, and I was a little lost in it or rejecting it. But I really did have all those assumptions that Buddhism was to calm down and relax and chill out. I really did have that perception that meditation is going to be just good for me because I'm so stressed at work, and then I won't be stressed at work, and maybe I'll be able to focus more so I can get a better raise. And a very limited scope of application to this inner technology that is unraveling how your world exists from the inside out. I thought, oh yeah, I could use it to get a better job and not be so stressed. 10 years to get this next line. So it sounds fantastical. Here we go. So what I want to say is that the Buddha never said, I'll teach for 50 years so you can all be relaxed at your shitty jobs. Like, he never said all of a sudden, you guys meditate and then you'll be okay as you get lymph cancer and you'll be able to put up with it without getting upset. That wasn't what his goal was. He said, the wheel of life, there's 3 poisons, there's all these realms. You can get out of that realm which is gripped by the jaws of death. You can get out through the perception that you are a creature locked in cycles, mini cycles of suffering and big cycles of death and rebirth. That's what he said. And I didn't get that the first time. So he's saying the first thing you should be happy about when you generate this wish for enlightenment is that you will be able to destroy the forces that we call death. It is also a perception. It is also a karma. It is not self-existent. It doesn't exist from its own side. It is a produced phenomena, and any produced phenomena has its causes. You kill its causes, you kill the result. It's simple. You can destroy a perception of having to go through cycles of birth, death and rebirth. You can destroy the perception that as you're dying, you're dying. He is killing death. So he's saying, get hyped up that with this wish, you'll be able to destroy the Lord of Death, which in the Wheel of Life they depict as this creature that's coming to get you, but in essence it is a condition that we have in samsara that is born inside of us as soon as we are born. As soon as you're born, you have that condition, and it takes your lifetime to get to your heart, to get to the part where it eats you totally up, and you're not immune from it, and I'm not immune for it. If we don't pay attention to it, it's just going to take us in the same way that it's taken every single creature on the planet. If you look at it with wisdom, you have the capacity to battle death in a way that you never thought possible. And it took me 10 years to understand that that was a possible reality. 10 years of trying to meditate, 10 years of learning these things, it didn't fit in. So if it's not fitting in, don't be upset, don't be worried. If it sounds fantastical, just put it on the shelf. But I can tell you, if all karma is changeable, if all things in this universe is changeable, death is also a thing. Your perception of yourself dying is a thing. And that is to so be joyful, get the joy on, get excited about the capacity of what if I figure out that elixir, that combination of mental investigation and action that brings me a perception that death can be removed. And then the others are simple, the same. Destroy poverty, and that's spiritual poverty, meaning the lack of capacity of awareness to say that your world is changeable, and physical poverty, the lacking of food, etc. Illness, destroy illness. You'll be able to destroy general suffering, so anything that's not covered in those things, and you can also destroy any deep suffering like the 3 realms. So you get excited about those 5 things, and that's generating joy about what you can do for others. Obviously, doesn't matter how many people we go around the world feeding today, you'll never feed them in a nominal way. So they're talking about something else. They're talking about transforming an inner world that then you can teach by example or share by example. And lastly, they say you can get busy trying to fix illness and suffering and death out there, but if you don't destroy the sources of suffering, suffering by nature has sources, that's the cause. And they say there are 2 causes to suffering. That's the next verse. And that is mental affliction, obstacles that are your mental afflictions, anger, jealousy, frustration, negativity, etc. You can get at them, get happy at them, because if you get at them, you can get rid of poverty and anger and all the spiritual poverty and all those other things. And lastly, much deeper, obstacles to total knowledge, or obstacles to omniscience, they say. For those of you who are interested, mental affliction obstacles, the ultimate mental affliction is ignorance, right? Thinking that the world is out there fixed the way I see it. It's the only way that thing exists. Thinking that way locks you into that world. That ignorance is not knowing that that has an infinite possibility of being, and I'm just experiencing one possibility. My karma is forcing me to see that possibility. I can't pretend that it's something else, but I can be aware that it could be something else. That's wisdom. Yeah? So ultimate mental affliction obstacle is seeing things as self-existent. You reach that when you reach nirvana, permanent cessation of all mental afflictions. You reach that at the 5th path of the 5 paths on the Hinayana track, if you're interested in that. Or on the 8th Bodhisattva Bhumi, if you're on the Bodhisattva Mahayana track, if you remember that. The obstacles to total knowledge or omniscience are Bhumis 9 and 10 for the Mahayana track, where you remove even the subtleness of things appearing as self-existent. So, see, in nirvana, things can still appear as self-existent, but you know they're not. In Bhumis 9 and 10, you remove even the appearance of things as coming from their own side. You totally, completely abide in a state where you recognize the world is your oyster. It comes from you. You are the production of your universe. Then that's called Buddhahood. So you get your joy on about yourself first. Wow, I did it. I just generated that feeling. Then you get your joy about what you can do for others, which is removing their suffering or removing the cause from suffering. And that's it. That's the course up to date. Lastly, with joy, I invite you to come tomorrow night to Geshe Michael's talk at 7:30 at PS 19.
We have to be there at 6:15?
If you're volunteering, 6:15 at the school or at the 3 Jewels.
At 5.
At 5. So if you're volunteering with Steve's group, he's going to do the iPad and all the other stuff.
That's the new announcement for my group. I have to tell everyone that, but at 5 o'clock here if you come.
Yeah. Okay? So let's do a quick dedication in Tibetan and then.
Catch up Tibetan.
Sashi Bukhi Jishin Metoktra Rira Lingshin Indegam Padi Sange Shindu Mite Vivargi Dropun Idam Guru Ratnamandalakam Ninyatayami Digawopu Sunam Yeshe Sok Sok Shim Sunam Yeshe Vijim Hui Dhamma Kuni Jopasho. So if you have the mind to dedicate, recognize that it's multiplied so much more today. And just give away any goodness of your mind that you had in the last couple of hours. And thank you for coming. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for teaching.
Thank you for teaching.
Thank you.